we can still hear him, but he's muted.
I'm right here.
Yep.
He's muted off the show.
I believe so. If not, we can mute, and then when I switch, I'll just unmute everybody.
Yeah, it just said off air for a second, just so you're aware.
Live, bro. Who cares?
Okay. All right. So we are here.
I can shut up if you want me to shut up.
Nah, it's 2:30. We're just gonna go live, man. It doesn't matter.
All right, we're here.
All right, we're live.
We are live.
We're alive. Look at that, Delaney. You look like you got older since the last time I saw you, man. What's going on?
Yeah, so we had 3 different articles on Hacker News that were live and hitting our server, and then we ended up number 2 on Changelog, all since the last time I saw y'all. So yeah, it's been quite the weekend.
Do you know what the event was that caused you to get on all these things?
So the weird thing is, one of the articles was something Chris Malik had written, a really in-depth article on what DataStar is and how it's different from HTMX and what hypermedia first really means. And he did a great job. And that was months ago. No traction, no nothing. Ended up, someone on Hacker News got in the zeitgeist for a couple of minutes and then went off like gangbusters. And then we had another article by one of the community members in the closure space, ironically, that was doing a game of life real-time multiplayer, doing the dumbest thing possible, which is sitting down like 2,500 divs every update to every player. And it was on a $15 server, and he used like 40% utilization, and it was able to handle Hacker News on a $15 server. In fact, it probably could have been a $10 server. So, that and some other stuff going on around what HTTP streaming is about, and the fact that SSE is actually a easier version of that. So for some reason, I've been doing the same thing for a few years now at DataStar, just changing the APIs slightly, but the ideas have been there for years now. And all of a sudden, it's starting to get known. And I don't know what that is, other than just the fatigue that I felt. I think it's starting to, people are saying that there are other options and they can be simpler. So that's, it's good news, I think, for all of us.
Awesome, dude. Really nice.
Very cool.
Yeah, now you're going to get people don't realize how much work it is to have anything open source, especially when it starts to get popular and you're trying to keep those issues down. And dude, I get maybe 1 issue a week on one of the 3 projects I have, right? And I jump on it right away, but I can manage that. But I couldn't imagine if suddenly I had 10, 20, it's a small number, right? But 10 or 20 people a week sending me stuff.
And we're trying to find a way to do it because, unlike some of these other projects especially in the JavaScript space, I found a lot of them are self-fulfilling prophecies. Like, there's a lot of frameworks that are there to be frameworks, whereas the people that work on them just work on the framework. Whereas for me, it's just dogfooding it to do active things at work. So it's a very different vibe than I wish my framework didn't exist, right? It's a very different thing from I'm promoting it until someone can find a better way to do it so that I don't have to be the guy in charge of this. So yeah, it's kind of a weird thing, but the good thing is that the core is so small. We do all the things that Alpine does and HTMX does and all those things, but we're 40% smaller than just HTMX on its own. And it's already considered a really small framework, right? So there's not a lot of code to maintain. It's more about getting the overall idea. So the good thing is it's pretty much solid. The things that people are running into are really weird edge cases. So
brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah, and you also have to learn how to say no sometimes. I love your idea, but it's not a general purpose enough, or it's not what I want in this thing. Well, that's a hard thing to say.
The irony is that the whole point of DataStar was originally I was trying to make HTMX2 before that was a thing. And I want it to be more pluggable so that if I disagree with them about, ironically, SSE, I can go and do a different version of that because I didn't think that what they did was going to work. So the irony is that DataStar, you can make your own plugins. You can pick and choose. In fact, there's a bundler on the main site where you can literally pick and choose just the things you want, and you can get it down to 5K. So it is already a pluggable interface. So if someone does a better job than me, the long-term thing is DataStar is a framework, but you could rip just the part that you need and basically treat it like lit for web components, where it's just doing the basic stuff of getting data-star elements and pulling out the pieces so that you can write your own plugin. So for me, it's more long-term, it would be an ecosystem, but we've already found all the things that you really need to write to make any framework. And that's why I said, like, yeah, it spent 2 hours yesterday or a few days ago trying to get stuff up, but none of that was DataStar. And I said, like, DataStar part will take 5 minutes, and it will. But he's new to web stuff. Like, it doesn't take away the problems of the back end, but the good thing is it doesn't get in your way either. And hopefully we'll get to that today.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a front end dev, and I was just like, my mind was getting blown on how quickly you were throwing CSS and HTML around, and
For sure.
I can't move that fast in that.
The thing is,
I'm fast, but
I will say though, it's not. I don't know how much. Like we talked before, like my background is being a 3D artist, right? So I think the thing is that I didn't come from the world of engineering. I came from like, look, I got to do stuff and get stuff done, and I learned the tools as best I can. And the thing is, when you're in a production art environment, you have to move. And so I kind of treat code the same way in that I try to get the things in thing, but also I'm thinking about the long-term lazy. Like if you make a piece of art and you don't take care of your layers and you don't do things properly, you're going to feel that pain later, and it's going to cost you time, and time is money in that space. So I treat code kind of the same way, that like I do move fast, but I try to be cognizant to future Delaney and what he's going to have to deal with. Because I will eat my own dog food all day long. So that's why it's kind of a weird blend. And I know we had that conversation when we did that interview a while back of like I will take responsibility for my own stuff, but that's very different than handing off those things, right? Because those decisions are fast, but at the same time, I'll live with them. So I definitely have a way to do working.
yeah,
But-
I think, look, you got to get it working first, and then you can clean it up and refactor.
Yeah.
You could spend 3 months trying to write the perfect piece of code, but now it's too late. You didn't get it out. So
Yeah.
there's that balance there. But still, it was impressive. Anyway,
Oh,
all right.
well-
So pull latest down in case you haven't.
I have not.
Okay, so pull down the latest. I've been very clear on the show that I don't want to make code changes unless we're live. However, I did remove that app interface from the UI. It was absolutely unnecessary because we already have access to the concrete type. So again, a refactoring we hadn't done. And then I think that's kind of it if I looked at the change log there and what we did. But let me see, git log. I'm typing on my own machine right now. And I copied a little bit of code in your web UI write text just to sort of give you a little guidance on what we're doing on the TUI and like a little guidance on what we're expecting to see on the screen based on that stuff. Oh, I also gave you the ID in the message, which, yeah, we didn't need because I was really cheating, right? Pretty heavily, knowing that the list had this state in it. And I was just like,
Right.
yeah, it was bad, right? Like that was wrong.
Well, and that's the thing is the only reason why it took a little bit longer. Like I give Kevin full credit for like doing its best to answer questions and being kind of a middleman. Because especially when you're in a code that you didn't write and you're like, man, I just live here. I don't know how the foundation was poured. I have no idea. And also you're doing with the real time chat and all that. So like you did a great job. It's one of those things of like we just don't know what I'm coming in as almost like a hired gun saying, okay, let's make you a web interface. I'm like, how does it work? We don't know. So it'll be interesting to see the dichotomy between then and before, because there are some things that I disagreed with. And that's something I want to ask real quick. The way that I would build these kinds of things, like you saw the screen, obviously, I would make it so that we'd have the ability to run TUIs and web all at the same time and have periodic numbers of UIs and like do that kind of thing. Or is that still not the plan, or was that because I started going down that road and it's like,
yeah, that was never the plan, and I wouldn't do that. I think if we want to refactor that later, we can. But
Okay.
right now, some of the back end stuff we have isn't really designed. Not the back end cap, but some of the code that's there was never thought of running. Now, I mean, now that you mention it, obviously I'm like, yeah, why wouldn't you be able to do both? But we're
Right.
not there yet. So if we can get one
Okay.
to work, then we can extend it to have both working.
absolutely. And okay, so do you want me to share screen and just start?
Yep, you're gonna
Let's-
drive.
Okay.
Pull
I
down
will
the
try.
latest, and you'll see the message has an ID now. We've changed that. I put in some really bad code inside your write text function,
Awesome.
just as sort of guidance, because I have no idea what that really needs to look like to get that. My only other concern, Delaney,
Yes, sir.
is during our podcast, you told me not to use WebSockets, but I used WebSockets because that's kind of what I knew.
Sure.
And
Okay.
this was more about Go side than anything else. So I don't know how that affects your life at the end of the day.
WebSockets for which part?
The WebSocket stuff is being used for when you hit the send button to talk to the CAP. So the CAP is called the client access point. That's what's basically routing messages to anybody that's WebSocket connected. And if the person we're trying to send the message to doesn't belong to that CAP, it then puts it over NATs to all the other CAPs that might be out in existence,
Okay.
seeing if this
So-
client is connected to anything.
Yeah. So word to the wise on all this stuff. Like WebSockets are a huge mess in normal, like everyday production stuff, and I can get into a huge thing of why. But right now, I would say I would make it so the website just talks over NATs.
Yeah.
Like that, like the web interface just talks to NATs, and that way I don't care if it's embedded locally or if it's in NGS or anything else. Like that's the easiest way, honestly. I know I work at Synadian and all that stuff, but honestly, it's the easiest way to do this.
Yeah, but you know what? Now that I'm thinking, the WebSocket stuff was never for the UI. It was just for the message handling itself. So,
Okay, then let's rip it out. Let's get to
well, I'm gonna rip it out. I need that. But like I'm saying, from a UI perspective, you don't need WebSockets. Now that I think about it.
Okay, awesome. Then we won't worry about it then.
Yeah, I don't think we have to worry about
Even
it.
better. Someone said there's an echo in my voice. Someone reached out and let me know.
Yeah, it's our mic.
Is that because of this?
Yeah, so I
So-
think we switched to our.
So how do we do that?
Let's try this and see if that fixes it.
Oh, because it has the noise canceling?
Yeah, let's try this. Can you hear us still, Delaney?
I can absolutely hear you. Yes.
Okay, awesome.
All right. I guess you can ask your friend if the echo's gone. Because I guess it's doing echo cancel.
Yes. Oops. Sorry. Yeah. Is it gone?
I would think it could get rid of it.
It says no better. So
It's not any better.
yeah.
No. See, it doesn't know.
Yeah, it's not giving us any. It's meant for headphones.
So what if we mute ourselves if we don't have to talk?
That's, yeah.
So
we're
go
gonna do
back
that.
to the shore.
I need
What?
the actual mic overlay. Hold on. 1 second here.
Sorry, dude. The software that we use is so complicated.
Here it is.
Oh, no problem. I'll be quiet so that we don't get a
So
huge
if we're
echo.
muted. Okay, so mute us. Dude, you got to turn because it's driving me crazy. You can't hear me. I need Delaney to make that font larger. So
Yeah, the font
yeah,
is a
absolutely.
little small for us.
yeah, dude, I'm gonna all right. So mute us again so you can talk.
Yep.
All right, we found a echo cancellation. I don't know if that's gonna help.
Okay. But I will reach
so
out
what-
and see.
Yeah, ask if that
I-
use echo cancellation button worked.
Okay, absolutely. Common address. And we do. Doesn't help. Okay.
We have people saying it sounded fine.
All right, let's just leave it for now, and
Okay.
I don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
I can jump on the host too. We can just hear it. All right, so what are we doing, Delaney?
So I was going through and I had some stuff that was erroring. So I was just checking to see what the deal was. And it's saying ID is a string, so it can pretty print. So we have a thing of UI usernames, but now they're common address, I guess. Common address. So basically, I'm going through and checking the interface change. So that's fine. I'm just making sure that I grok what the change was. Also, it's saying that I forget what the things I have to do to run port 3000, whatever's on port 3000. I have to run something like make run cap, or is that something like that?
So the make,
Sorry.
yeah. So the cap is think of that as the client access point for communication. So you have to run that for sure.
Okay.
And then after we'd run that in a separate terminal window, then we had the run client, which is now going to be running your web backend.
Okay. So task temple -w. We're going to just run the task temple stuff to see if things change, and I'm just rerunning it to make sure things compile. I'm just trying to get back to a compiled state because APIs changed around it and stuff. So, so this is now a common address with the new interface, and then I don't change to a hex. See, there's one more issue. Format message isn't being used. Okay, well, chat API format. Oh, I guess I have higher linting than you guys do, because it was complaining that it wasn't using that. Okay, so it looks like we are back to running, and I remember that we were running into some issues where the client wasn't updating or something was in the wrong place. So we had put the 2E back in place just to make sure we were up and running. So we are technically doing that. So if I can type
tell him, give me back the mic for a second.
Yep, you're there.
Oh, you can hear me?
Yep.
I can hear you.
Delaney,
yes.
let me give you my, hold on, let me make sure I'm running the terminal here for a second. I'm going to give you my ID, so we'll set that up in there. Oh, I have it.
Okay.
Okay. Make run client. So my ID goes zarf client ID. All right. How did we get that to him before?
I think you just emailed it to me.
All right. Let me email you. Delaney, my ID. All right. I'm sending you my ID.
Okay.
Send. All right. So you should get that. We're using Kevin's laptop for the show, so I have my laptop available for everything else.
Okay. So, so I need to go into the data JSON zarf DB, this thing?
Into the data JSON, yeah.
Okay. And then we'll add a new one for you.
Yeah.
Cool. And we'll do that. And then we'll do. Okay. And I don't know what the nonce and all that.
Make it
is
0.
Okay.
Start
For
at
both
0.
of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
We just track messages, the number of messages going back and forth as an extra sort of security precaution on the identity stuff. That's all.
Okay. So if I run that now, the only thing that I'm seeing is I do see Bill and Kevin, but when I type in here, is that coming back to you guys
Let me see.
properly?
Yep. You just got it.
Yeah, actually, I just got that. Yep.
Okay.
Wow. That's cool.
Yep.
And
That worked.
Yeah, but he's on the terminal. He's not on his web UI.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got that back. Yep.
Okay.
And I can send back.
Please send me back just to make sure. Okay, great. Awesome. So that's in the Web 2E now. If I go into main, this is where we were running into some issues before.
Well, that's not the web. That's the
we changed it over to 2E because we weren't even getting messages at all.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know how to debug this without Bill here. How do we and then we got into a situation where I couldn't get any message. And then it was like, okay, we're in a bad place. This should have nothing to do with the UI, but we're definitely having problems integrating the UI. So we'll turn that back on. And the nice part is it's saying the UI needs update contacts. That API has changed. Basically, the interface changed, which is great. So we'll know. So let's go
I thought I fixed all that, man.
Oh, that's all right. That's
and you pulled latest, right?
Until a second ago, I update Oh, what's interesting is this says that it's the right.
Yeah, I thought I had everything set where it was compiling properly, so it's weird.
Okay. So it's saying UI does not have want
Maybe
update contact.
that
Oh,
might
wait,
change.
I think you didn't change the interface itself. Hold on. Web UI, UI, update contact was not updated. This
Oh,
this one has not been updated.
Oh,
The UI, the interface wasn't updated, and it didn't matter
gotcha.
because it had the TUI stuff, so you didn't see that it was out of date.
What file is that in? App
That
go?
is in app.go, line
Okay.
55.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't change that.
No, that's okay.
Mm,
That's
I
why
don't
we're
know.
here.
That should be a
We're-
common address. Okay.
We will.
Oh,
we're
because
here-
my TUI still used it that way
exactly. You're just
instead.
still
Okay.
working, so
Yeah, yeah. All right. So we'll
Um,
fix the TUI later.
So my consoles have never been this big in my life, so it's hard for me to. We'll make sure that we're up and running. I got into a weird state where the TUI was like very upset. So we go chat API, I guess, and then it was web. What was it? Front ends.
Front ends. Yep.
API front ends, and then
Client, I believe. Client UI.
okay, and then we go back to my wonderful task file. Cool. Okay, so now we're back to hopefully if we reload this page with 1337. Okay, yay! I see Bill and I see Kevin. Here's where we're at. No messages found. There's my ID. Okay, so I don't know. Oh, we haven't done any of that work yet. We haven't done any of the DataStar stuff. Okay, but I would think if you send a message right now, hopefully I get it. That would be
All
the like.
Let's try it. New message. All right. I just sent you a new message.
Okay, and if I refresh this, okay, good. I get
New
new message. So
Badass. You had to refresh.
great.
But
No, that's the thing is we haven't done any DataStar stuff. This is a regular website that's rendering whatever the current state is, right?
Gotcha. Okay. It's not getting current state or
Does that make
reloading
sense
state.
so far, Bill?
yeah, so I'm just trying to think on your side what happened. So I sent a message. My cap sent it over Nats. It got back to your cap. Your cap sent it down to your new client.
Mm-hmm.
And it must have written it somewhere. And then when you refreshed it, reloaded it.
Yeah. So basically, if we go and look at the web, the client web, and we go up to where we actually set up the routes, we have one route here, which is saying, hey, whenever you get to this page, render out using the current web UI and render out the page. And the page is in the temple here, where we basically go through. I did all this stuff inline, so it's literally rendering this entire page, like going through each user, doing all the things. So it's doing just a regular web, like one big template.
And then if you go into your ZAR folder under messages, you must see it there. So
Data
interesting.
zarf messages. Yeah, it'd be
Messages. Yep.
this stuff.
yeah, so it's there. And then if you go back to your data JSON, we should see the nonce
Yep, nonce got
changed
updated.
to 2. All right, so like, yeah, so all that code is executing, which is good.
Yeah, that's great. That means
Yeah,
that we're
that's what
almost
we
ready
wanted.
to start doing some DataStar stuff.
Okay.
So the next thing I'm going to do, because we kind of made this big old template here, right? This big old thing, and it's kind of ugly. I want to break it up a little bit to make it a little bit easier because because the screen's so small, it's a little hard, or the text is so big, it's actually kind of hard to work in this right now. So I'm going to do let's do a little cleanup before we start doing any DataStar stuff. First thing is I'm going to take all this styling that we did, and then again, going into the static folder, and we'll make a new, we'll do site.css, I guess. And we'll put all that stuff in there. Nice thing is, okay, cool. All those imports are in place. I know you weren't on the stream last time. How did you feel about the open prop stuff?
I don't think I know enough to have a thought.
Okay, cool. Then awesome. Great. We will next
I
song.
thought it was really cool.
Okay.
I use
well,
Kevin
we- we-
here, dude. When I do a front end, I use Kevin. Then I teach him how to clean up the JavaScript that we have because we do vanilla JS. But what you're doing is light years ahead of anything I would even attempt on the front end.
Well, that's why you have people that have different disciplines, right?
Yeah.
Like, and the thing is, I don't even think I'm that good at this stuff. Like, there's people that are way better at this than me, but I can hack my way around. Now I'm going to do something that's a cool little trick. Okay, this is a great thing to do if you have it. Again, just static stuff. We haven't talked DataStar yet. We're going to add a meta refresh 5, and what that means is that reload this page every 5 seconds.
Okay.
So
Where did you do that?
Right here.
right here, this
Line
meta
11.
equivalent refresh content 5.
Dude, has this stuff almost evolved to being Turing complete?
HTML is not Turing complete, but CSS I think might actually be now. I forget if it is, but
That's insane, dude.
so because it's in static, that's why. So it's in static. The thing is, people just don't realize how powerful browsers are now. They just don't get it. They just don't know, right? Like that's, and it's not any knock on anybody. It's just people don't realize how good they are. And if especially with Go, and like I have like. You haven't even seen the kind of stuff that I can do in SQLite and Nats and all that. In fact, our friend Dave actually has a site called gonads.net, which is this crazy powerful framework for doing this kind of stuff. But anyway, this is all just standard like web stuff. So now the cool thing is it says no messages. I don't know why it would have no messages. That's confusing to me.
I don't think you're reading for some reason. So if you look at the TUI code for a second, all right, and you go to line, let me see what line it is. Go to line 46.
Of what file?
The TUI.go.
Okay.
Line 46.
Line 46?
Yeah. So
okay.
I have a literal function there that's set to the change. So anytime you select a person in that column on the left, what it does is it essentially queries the contact by ID, and then it gets those messages, and I render them into that window. And this function gets executed the moment you call set app on line 134.
Line 134.
So on line 134, remember when we call set app in main?
Well, but this is setting the users thing, which is there. It's the messages.
It is, but that other code I just showed you on line 46, that's getting the messages essentially off disk and writing the initial set of all messages we have. So I think that part you're missing.
No, that's
select a user.
So when we do run, hold on, when we go back to TUI, that's when you do the first, when we do new, we have to make that call. Okay. So if we go into...
So whatever the event is for you when you change what user you want to see, like...
So when we do this new, we did load contacts. And the thing is that the way you're doing it, you're actually doing the messages at the same time, from what I'm understanding.
Well, I had that event. That way, anytime that you choose a person, we reload the message window so it's not mixed. And so I kind of left the code there in one place and then just hacked set app to force an event to occur.
Okay. Right? Well, okay. So load content. I mean, the thing is you have UI messages. I just don't know. Like, here's my issue right now. Is I want to make sure let's see, what is it? Plus V messages, and then we'll get rid of that just for now. So we're just trying to see if so if we type log print.
But remember, I get the messages from calling that query contact by ID. So we need to know which user you want to pull messages for. I don't know what that UI message. Oh, that was your state UI messages.
So when I click on, so I have to be able to click on so there's no way right now that I'm getting all the messages.
Like, no, it's
no.
You're gonna get it. No.
Okay, that's the part I was missing. So only when you click on a user should you see the messages.
Yes, for that user. And that's why if you go back to TUI, say line 55,
when
55. That event, so that's the event for when you click on a user. So I'm stealing the ID for that user out of the UI, and then I do a query to get the user information, which includes the messages that we then render on line 63, right?
Okay. just for giggles,
Yeah.
I'm going to, if we go like for every user, just so that I can make sure that I'm grokking everything, and then
Yeah.
we'll change this
That's
back.
fair.
If we go in here and say we get the user messages,
Yeah.
and then we add them to the thing I have internally, which is messages, appends the message from, and this is not from you. This is from user messages.
It's
Is
from
that
that interface. I mean, the app, not the interface, the app pointer or the app API has the query function in it.
okay? So
So
UI messages.
UI.app. You should have a UI.app there.
Yes, I do have. I have it for contacts, but is there one for messages?
There's one called query contact by ID, which will get you back all the information for that address, that ID.
Okay, so for this, so UI app
Dot query.
contact ID, user ID, and then that should give me, what does that give me?
That gives
It
you
gives me
a
a
user.
U and an error. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
That U has the messages in it.
Okay, and then for that we do U messages.
Yep.
And then the variadic of that into there. Okay, now I'm just curious, will that magically, okay, so yes, they're all there. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Now I thought that it was more of a Discord style, not these are individual text streams that you're doing. Cool. That was a mental, I didn't realize that. So
No, it's fair.
okay. So the nice part is right now, load contacts happening all the time. So like if Kevin sends a message right now, even though we haven't done DataStar or anything, we could do a refresh. It should refresh the page and just get that new
I
message.
can send another message now too.
Send another message.
Here is another message. Okay, sent it.
Here's another.
There it is. Okay, so the good news is we're getting data. It's going into the right place. Technically, it's not right now, but right. Like the idea is that I have a UI messages. I really need to keep it so it's a map of an array of messages. Is really what we need for my internal web thing. Is what you're saying, or it should just grab it from you guys every time. Like, should I have no internal state?
I think anytime you switch the user, you'll want to make that call, because if in the way I have the TUI working right now, if that's not your active user, well, you won't see it on the screen. We put a little star there to let you know there's a pending message, but it's written to the database. So what will happen is anytime you select a new user, you'll want to pull from the database because there'll be messages there that you don't have.
Okay. All right. So we are, okay, cool. Now let's do a little cleanup of the template to be ready. We're getting ready for DataStar because right now we're not even doing DataStar stuff yet. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this body thing and I'm gonna rip it out. And then I'm gonna make a new temple thing called chat fragment. And cool. And it takes the web UI as well. So now we have this guy here. So now we have a new fragment in temple. And the way we render it here is just go @chat fragment and then take in the UI. Got it? So all we did is we have this little fragment. Again, this is all in Go code. We just got a little fragment that we can run.
All right, timeout.
Sure.
Timeout.
Sure.
What's the name of this file?
This is routes_chat.temple.
And you put Go syntax in there.
So the great thing about temple is that it's basically JSX for Go, in that it's a combination of HTML and Go, and it uses each language server. So the HTML and the CSS and all that is just normal stuff you write, and then you write normal Go code as the template stuff, and it's instantaneous. And not only that, it's way better than the Go templates, because look, it actually is generating this in the background every time I make changes. I'm automatically generating the stuff that would suck to write the actual buffers to only be exactly what you need. Like,
and you have a plugin that knows how to interpret that properly?
Well, no, this is just regular Go code. This is just a standard like rendering to an IO buffer. Like, there's nothing special.
When I bring it up in my editor, it's just white text because it doesn't know what.
There is. Sorry for what you're talking about for the actual temple file. Yes, there's a temple. There's a temple VS Code extension. Temple VS Code right here.
I need to get that.
But there's no import, so it won't really know if UI.web exists until you try to do a build.
So yeah, the interesting thing about it is that it actually, once you have the template thing in there, it actually does all the Go stuff properly and talks to the language servers properly and all that stuff. You need the whole temple is mostly the VS Code plugin. Honestly,
Okay.
it's actually the LSP part that's the hard part.
The light bulbs are starting to go on.
Yeah. So the nice part is you just work in Go and you just work in HTML and like it all comes together and you still get templates and all these other things in the back end. And you also get type safe. Because look, like when I did the UI thing, it's not, it actually is saying, hey, you're not actually like you get regular Go code, right? When you run things. So you actually get, this is not a proper interface. It won't compile. Now it compiles. If I do a thing in my, because again, I'm in the same module
That's
right
thanks
now.
to the plugin that's helping you there. Yeah.
Yes. And so when I do pretty print X, because we're in the same thing, I can literally just do like pretty print inside here and I get like full type safety and all that stuff. Like it's just Go code in your templates. It's so much better than the Go formatted stuff, that the standard stuff. It's just, it's,
this looks,
So that is awesome.
plus the Go templating stuff's always complicated with the curly brackets and
yeah,
that syntax
100%.
is a nightmare.
So, and in fact, what we're going to do is I'm just going to break these things up just a little bit more, just so that's because you'll see why in a little bit. So we're
So
going to.
this is like back in the early 2000s, I was doing a lot of ASP. It smells of ASP.
Well, the thing is, it's all the right. ASP was really like the blade templates and stuff was a really good idea done. Like went crazy because Microsoft tends to overcomplicate things, but the ideas of that are really solid. It's just like the thing is like I love what HTMX does, but it doesn't go far enough. And weird thing is Temple does all the things that the blade stuff does, but it takes back to simplifies the rest of it, right? Like it's just the formatting of templates and talking to the LSPs and getting type safety and all that stuff. Like it does that part so well.
I'm going to be excited when I see you updating small parts of the UI with the new message without refreshing. I know you're getting there.
I'm getting there.
That's the exciting part because today you have to do that with AJAX calls and manipulate the DOM, right?
Yep.
So, and then I'm going to do this part where we're going to say chat message fragment. Cool. And then it's also going to take, let's say it takes messages, because again, you could use a whole list of these things. I tend to like variatics because then I can add 1 or a million of them. I forget what UI messages actually.
Well, that's going to come back as a slice anyway, as a parameter. So I'm not sure you have to use that syntax there.
You don't have to use that syntax, but the nice part is if you decide to go to iterators or something else, you just get those kinds of things as well. So I like the thing is because I can add 1 or many or whatever, right? Especially when you're doing templating, you might want to do just 1.
Yeah, but since you're going to have a slice already anyway, I mean, now you've got to do ... and break it up, right? So for me, it's like, if I'm already going to have a slice, why do that? If I'm not, I'm going to have individual values.
Yeah, I guess that the question is how I want to be able to run the same template, whether I have 1, 10, or 100. And when you're doing it in this way, it means that
it's all a slice at the end of the day. It's just about
it's about syntax
slice or a comma delimited.
Well, and here's my question to you. So if we do messages here and we do messages here, first of all, I'm breaking it up into a separate thing. Like, so the way I look at it is that if I go back into web and I want to use this thing, because again, this is just the cool thing is that the temple templates are just functions, right? It's just a function that generates basically like it writes to an IO buffer. So and I run this, I can say I can do 1 test, I can do like 1 message or 2 messages or 10 messages. It's about the developer experience, not the technical side. Like, yes, it's just a slice at the end of the day, but to me, it's easier to test things by having it so that I can personally type in a bunch of stuff or I can splat out a.
So if you want to test something, you want to be able to say you message Sub-Zero.
Right, exactly.
And the individual one. So if you're talking about from a developer message, then fine. I think that's fair.
So and the reason why is because Go is very verbose. So I would have to do this in every single place, even if I wanted to just test it with one little thing.
If
right?
you wanted to test it with one thing, yes.
Right. Which one looks better to you? Like when you're trying to understand what code is doing. Like
so I've never dealt with this before, right? Like I have a slice, I pass the slice, and I would just probably hack. But it's an interesting point you're making that I know that when I'm developing this, I don't want to use the entire slice. I'm just going to want to use a couple to begin with.
Yeah.
So if
So
I make this Veratic, I have that control.
exactly. And
That's
also,
fair.
I think that that's much cleaner. This is much cleaner in my opinion, because the thing is that when you're writing this stuff whenever you're doing a user interface or anything like this, you're always dealing with like the specifics of the situation. Like you're always testing like your thing. It's not like you're saying 100,000 of something, right? Like you're dealing with individual elements and doing tests on one thing. So I tend to go Variadic where I can, because I think it's just cleaner to read and I come back to it later. That's all.
No, I think I mean I wouldn't do this on the back end, but I think where you're at, there's a lot of value in what you're saying.
Yeah, and the thing is that the other part is that I do it in my backends, but again, it's only in a place where I know that I'm taking one or many of something, and I want to be able to get in there and test and debug, and like I tend to like the Variadic because I think it's cleaner. That's it. Like,
Yeah, I wonder if under the covers, when it sees the call doing ... and the other side, it just doesn't pass. I would imagine it just passes the slice value for efficiency.
yes, that's exactly what it does. Again, this is syntactic sugar, but it's the kind that I think is a good idea. Like that's all. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Okay.
So, cool. So, okay. So we have our messages. We're still doing that right now, even though it's kind of the wrong idea. Let's see where we're at. My message ID. Oh, we must have an error because I'm no longer running messages. I have to put that in place. So we get chat messages and we get those in. I forgot to do that. So there we go. Okay. We're back. We're back, boys. So is there anything else? Oh, the other thing is I'm going to name this because this thing has class messages, but also we're going to give it an ID of messages, and you'll see why in a little bit. Same thing with up here. We have chat, and we're actually going to give it an ID of chat. Now, I tend to think that this looks bad in that like you're doing classes and then doing IDs and it's only using one. So what I'm going to do is go back into my site CSS, and we had these things as chat, but now we're doing one-offs for things. So now we'll just do and messages. So now you're not duplicating, the same thing over. Like this to me looks ugly when you don't need it to be. And now, if we do that properly, we're back to where we were.
I always thought the industry preferred the opposite, not to use IDs, but to use the class.
So we are a hypermedia first framework, and you're going to see why this is magic and it's a good idea to do. Okay. So IDs have value in DataStar in a way that they don't normally do. Okay. So the nice part is we are going to take off this meta refresh. That's going to go away. I did not come prepared, which is great because it'll show you how easy it is. I'm going to copy this guy and add DataStar. We're going to use what's live on the site right now. So we added DataStar. That was hard, right?
Wait,
so now
I didn't see you do anything. Oh, you added a script. From
yes, I had a script module
content delivery network. Okay.
Yes. And the nice thing is that DataStar uses JS Deliver, which is kind of a misnomer because it can talk directly to GitHub, which means if you go to the DataStar website, the nice part is anything, or let's see, DataStar.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So
you didn't have to do anything to load it into the CDN. You just pointed the CDN to GitHub and it did its thing.
Yep. And the nice part is we have anything that's in dev, any commit of anything that's ever done in DataStar creates an alias version, a core version, and the full framework all the time. So you have a source mapped, fully minified version available of any commit that's ever been done on DataStar without doing any work. No NPM modules, no craziness. It's one file and it just works.
So on that URL, are you able to specify a tag or a commit ID?
Yep.
Oh, that's nice.
Yep. So the other thing that's interesting about DataStar, because again, now we're kind of talking about the weeds. We actually, because we're a Go binary, we actually bundle our TypeScript builder directly into the site so that you can literally make your own version of DataStar that has only the things that you want. So like the version right now that's out there is 5.4 kilobytes. The new version I think is like almost 4. So it's even smaller of a core, and then you can pick and choose the bits and pieces that you need for your part. So you're even making your
a customized version of the library you're going to download.
Yep. so
That's
that
crazy.
everything's a plugin everywhere all the time, and there's no vendoring. There's no, in fact, in the new version, right now we vendor in idiomorph, and there's a signal library that's now gone. Everything is directly in inside of DataStar. There are
But
no
that's
vendoring
creating a new
and
zip file to download, or
every single time. Yeah. So you get your own version, and in the V1 that I'm working on right now, you could actually give it these commands, like send it off as a query string, and it'll give you back a CDN version of it.
so then what do you? That means you need persistent storage for all these things for unique individuals, or
Yeah. So the thing is, you hash it off into a CDN, and then you have an expiry on it, and then you have to redo it. Like again, this took me 33 milliseconds to compile, and I have a one-off thing. That's not hard to keep. CDNs. This is what CDNs are for. Like this is not a big deal. Like you have an LRU cache of top 10,000 or 5,000 of them. Okay, that's like a few megabytes. That's not a big
yeah,
deal.
I mean you're not managing it; they are. So who
Right.
cares?
That I mean, the thing is, even if you put it in an S3, the good thing is that you can go back and recreate anything you want. So just a heads up that like not only is it small, it can get even smaller. Which as a Go
Because the
dev, I thought you'd
CDN
appreciate.
knows if it doesn't have it cached, it knows what call to make to get it, and then you're just doing it
Exactly.
on the fly.
Yep.
So
Exactly.
yeah, so you don't really have to worry about storage at all.
Nope.
Okay.
Let
That's
smart
fair.
people do smart things.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm not smart, so like rely on smart people to smart it. Cool.
You didn't need
Okay.
to add that complexity. That was cool.
Nope. But the thing is that instead of having Vite or Vite, I always forget which one it is. And
I like
having
Vite.
Vite,
yeah. So having these as dependencies is always a bigger pain. So the nice part is this is a pure art. When we build the site, it's a pure Go binary. So all of the markdown, all the stuff, all the rendering, the builder, the HTTP server, all the things that embed nets, it's like one single binary. So like, I don't know. It's for Go developers, I think.
But
they
you're
should do better.
bringing back, this brings back JavaScript, right?
So yes. So the nice part is that it has, so it's tiny, right? But it also comes with a source map. So if we actually look at the network and we look at DataStar, this version, which is the next version is actually about 40% smaller than this, and it actually has more features. But
Is
we
it
can talk about
smaller
that another
because
day.
it's better compression, or smaller because it's
No, it's we actually removed a ton of code. Like we got rid of a bunch of vendoring stuff. We wrote our own version of we now have by far the fastest signal library in existence in the JavaScript world. We have a faster version of idiomorph. We did our own morphing thing. We do custom generation of function constructor. We do all these.
And you're not
crazy
making
things.
any. Are you making any money on this thing, dude? That you're putting
Nope,
this much
not
time
yet.
into it?
No, the thing is that this is to me yak shaving for the projects I want to do, and nothing can do what I want to do. So I would love to find a way to make it sustainable. I'm talking to people to try to make that happen, but yeah, not right now. I'm just doing the work that needs to be done. So,
Wow.
but the nice part is, so if you look at this this file, it's a tiny. Let's see. I don't know what the best way to look at this is yet. If we go look at the response, so it's this minified craziness, right? It sucks. I will say that the first thing you see when you see this is always going to be that emoji. So
Yeah,
it's
but why does
DataStar.
that suck? It should be minimized. Like, I mean, that's
No.
part of the
So-
ecosystem.
No, but the part is that we actually generate source maps on the fly as part of the build. So if you want to go at the bottom of this, it says source mapping, blah, blah, blah. So if you go and you actually look at merge signals or merge fragments, you actually have the full TypeScript code, and you can see every single plugin live and be able to step through all the stuff. So even though you have a minified version, you can now step through every part of DataStar and learn how we do all this stuff. So if you're like, hey, how does like the text thing work? How does it put text in our?
But that would also
do.
mean that I can use TypeScript if I wanted to and get that type safetiness from your API.
100%. Like
Yeah,
the thing
yeah,
is
yeah.
that we just have a single one downloaded thing. You don't have to normally think about it. But if you're like, how are they doing this? Like to update text on a page, like update text inside of an element. This is the entire plugin right here. Like so, all the plugins. If you want to go look how much code like. All the events that happen in an entire system with every single custom event that's happening in the world, this is how much code it is. So the thing is, the reason why DataStar is small is because we've done a lot of work to really hone in on these ideas of like, what is the minimum amount of stuff to do to do things
there's
properly?
no waste. Like you've gotten it down to the minimum amount of code you need to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's
so
cool.
that so that your heads up that like we're gonna not look at a lot of this code. We don't care about this code, but just so that you're aware, we're doing a lot of work to make it so that you never have to think about this.
Yeah. The average developer just wants to get it to work. They don't care about any of that.
Yep. So
And I'm the average developer right now.
great. So we took off the meta refresh. So we are not updating the page now, right? Now we're going to go and we're going to do one little change to this body. We're going to do, when we load the page, how do we want to do this? Okay, yeah, we'll just do a data on load. Again, the thing is, the reason why DataStar is called DataStar is that there's a bunch of things that are built into the web spec called DataStar attributes. They're like data-star. They don't have a name. They call custom attribute elements. But whenever they're talked about in the spec, they're called data-star. So that's why I named it DataStar. So the thing is about data elements is you can do whatever data dash and then like foo equals bar. That normally that wouldn't be spec compliant, right? You can't just add your own attributes to HTML and it'd be technically correct. But the data dash basically allows you to do whatever you want with that element. You can use it for whatever you want. You're like, well, what would I do with that, right? Like, what does that mean for me? Like, why would I put stuff on there? Sometimes you can grab it from CSS. Sometimes you can grab it from JavaScript. There's places to hook into. But all DataStar does is it basically is a little shim that makes some plugins available. So in this case, we're going to do data on load. So that's a plugin that we have. Data-on is a plugin that we have. So data-on load. And in this case, we're going to have a special thing that says, I'm going to go to chat updates. I guess we'll just do that for now. Now, what is this at? That means that it is a DataStar action. Actions start with an at symbol. Signals start with a $sign. And the thing, what is an action? Normally, like Kevin, I don't know if you've ever heard eval is bad. Have you ever heard about that?
Yeah.
So the problem with eval, what eval does is it just takes any arbitrary string and turns it into code and basically executes that code, right? Yeah. And the problem is that's really bad if you're using user submitted things, right? That's how you can inject anything anywhere, right? So in general, eval is
stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. But DataStar is something that's coming from the server to your back, like to your front end. So it is trusted code that's doing its thing. So it is evaluating. But the thing is, first of all, it's not calling eval. It's actually doing what's called a function constructor, which is a thing in JavaScript that allows you to basically have a sandbox function. So you can create a function that evaluates, but it only does stuff within inside the sandbox. So it's not allowed to get out to things outside of it, type thing. So it's a better version of how they did it. Now, this is how Alpine and a lot of the other people do their thing, right? But just a heads up, when you hear like, technically we don't fall under what's called CSP, which is content security policy, because we use eval, but we do the right way, which is function eval. There's no designator for server side generated eval, which is something that I hope like frameworks like this will help make that change, because it is not user eval, it is server generated eval. Just to give you an idea, right? These are all things to kind of be aware of. But the point is that from the web's perspective, or from the browser's perspective, it knows data-on, like it knows that this is a key and this is a value here. And in fact, just because this is stuff that I feel like people kind of don't want to learn, like what the browser actually does. But for example, if we pick this element, we're just going to go in here and we're going to add a data-foo equals bar. Okay. Now, this may not have a lot to do with DataStar, but I want you to understand what it's actually doing for you. So if we go, and I think there's a thing to say store as global variable. So we have temp1. And if we go into here, it now made on that thing, one. Yeah. So it made let me see if I can make that bigger for you guys. It made a new basically map on there that has the values foo and bar. Okay. That's literally all DataStar is doing, is saying, hey, I want to take this stuff and do interesting things with it. So I want to break it up and do all things with that. But I just want you to know that there's not really magic going on. All DataStar is a way to take those strings and turn them into like functional reactive.
You're basically storing state inside that DOM element.
Yes, but we can do way more than just store state. But I'm saying the core idea of what data-star elements are, or attributes are, is that you're just getting a map of string to string. That's it. Okay?
Okay.
Just to make sure that you understand like what we're doing. Okay, so this thing is a get thing, which is basically saying, go get me a SSE, go set up an SSE endpoint at this endpoint, right? Basically on load, go get me this thing. So if we go, we're going to go back to our web thing, and we are going to, where we set this up, we're going to set up a new router get.
So you're using the Chai router?
Yes, I am. I like Chai a lot.
Does that already
like
have support for SSE?
SSE is built into every single web. It is just part of the, there's no such thing as SSE support. It does not exist. Not mad at you. It's just one of those things that's very frustrating because SSE is just saying, I'm going to send down, instead of sending down application or text HTML or application JSON, you're sending down text-event stream. That's it. That's literally all it means.
Yeah, but then
So
you
when
can
people-
send chunks of data down, right? Like,
So that has to do with HTTP streaming, which is basically saying, can I flush this stuff now? Like, can I start sending a partial response? But technically, from like a technical standpoint, SSE is just a standard fetch request, but you're doing request response, but you can start chunking down the response ahead of that. But it's literally one request, one response, technically, from
Okay.
an HTTP.
Yeah, with
Okay.
chunks, right?
I see
Yeah,
what you're saying.
people always think that like, oh, this is really great, but I don't like. They think it's WebSockets, and it's not WebSockets. It's a standard fetch. It's a standard input with a standard text
Yeah,
file.
I've implemented that for some API servers that deal with LLMs,
Mhm.
but yeah, I never thought about it just being, it's just regular
It's just regular
right,
HTML.
It's just regular response.
It's just-
request
yep.
response with chunks.
Yep, that's all it is.
Yes.
So we are going to do DataStar, and it's so funny. I'm used to working on my own stuff, so I'm going to do it the way that you would normally do it. Just go dev, and then let's see. We go look at DataStar. We grab DataStar SDK Go. We'll make this bigger. The problem is that it's using, it doesn't, Go doesn't like the fact that it's on beta tags. Like it doesn't like that style. So I always have to grab it from this.
Why? So when I do a go mod tidy, it's going to pull down the latest beta.
Yeah.
Yeah. But except if you do /v0 on the import, it won't.
What will it do?
It should pull down the latest 0, which is what
But
you
I
want.
don't. No, I want version 1. So if we go.
Oh,
let me
you
see
want
if I'm
version
on-
1. I thought you wanted 0.
No, I want the problem is it thinks that we're on V21, which it's like 4 months old, right? Because we've been getting the beta ready to go. So we're gonna go get the SDK Go.
Can't you set up that in the mod? Yeah, add that to the mod file and then do a mod tidy.
Go mod. This is the stuff like there's some things I'm really fast at and some things I'm not. So we grab this guy. We're gonna grab this.
Yeah, this is how you're gonna have to do it.
So we do that, and then we
Yeah.
go mod tidy.
You're gonna have to do a go mod vendor after that too, because I'm vendoring everything.
Yeah, I saw that. So we did DataStar. Let's see. I got lost in what I was doing. New SSE WW. Okay, so we're doing it there.
I don't know how that's
We have
working
there.
without the mod tidy.
I did go mod tidy, but it's
but
it's
I don't
not
know how
picking
that's
it up.
working without the go mod vendor. That's weird.
Client front ends. Hold on, API.
No, but you could have done
chat.
go mod vendor there.
No, you have a thing that's like make.
You make tidy just does go mod tidy, go mod vendor. You could just
Okay.
manually do it
So for some reason, it's not picking that up.
because you didn't vendor.
No, it like literally wasn't picking up that I was using it at all.
Oh,
DataStar. Yeah, because it's picking up the wrong version. Okay, that's fine. So we will go in here. I will copy it again. Grab the right one. There, and then hopefully it keeps the right one.
it should.
Yay! Okay,
Yeah,
There
did
it
it.
is. Okay.
so
Yeah, it should have done that.
I lost where I was at.
You were in that. Oh yeah, you have to go
Web.
back.
There we
Yeah.
go. Okay. So we go back into here. We have SSE. So all we're saying here with the DataStar thing is that DataStar, the thing is you have to say, we're going to actually go look at the code just because, like this is about learning and teaching. All this is about is saying, hey, there's a couple headers you probably want. you have to have text event stream because that's what we're returning. You don't want to cache this, and you want to keep this alive so that like you're setting those things. Now, do you have to keep it alive? Keep it alive doesn't mean you have to keep it alone forever. People think that SSE has to be these long running things. It's the same cost as doing a request reply, so there's no extra cost. You're just saying keep it alive for as long as I decide to. Like, don't close it automatically. That's all you're saying. You're setting the encoding types. Nothing really else going on there. So you're like, oh, what's all this SSE stuff? It's just setting a couple headers, right? And the thing is because I'm using these parts and I'm using some of the DataStar, because SSE is a very simple, like there's an event type and there's data and stuff like that. All DataStar does is add a little bit more protocol to add down fragments and some other things. So it's just a little bit of helpers on top of it. But again, SSE is really simple. If you look here, you'll just send down events, retries, and data. Those are the parts you do. And all this is just sending it down so that you're sharing buffers and stuff like that. Like there's nothing special going on here. It's just about reusing buffers and trying to, be a good Go dev and flushing properly.
Yeah,
and
nice.
The other thing to be aware of is the part that like you don't need, people think that you need to have flusher interfaces and all these crazy things. We do flushing because it's built into Go, and literally all a flusher interface is saying, hey, I'm ready to send this down. Go send it down now. That's all. Instead of waiting till the end of your reply and flushing everything down, you're saying, I'm in a good place now. Send this down. So every language can do this, whether it can do streaming or not, does not matter. But it just in Go, it's really nice. So just so you heads up, that's all it's doing. It's just a little wrapper function to give you this nice thing. And I can put some extra things on top of this. So in this example, we're going to do a console log saying, I'm using DataStar. Okay. You're like, well, that's kind of a weird thing. What do you mean you're just console logging? So if we go back to the DataStar chat and we run this thing, I guess what's it building right now? It's taking its sweet time building. That's weird. Okay, so if we
break
starting, I don't know. Oh,
no,
right
I'm
there.
seeing messages now. I'm using
So
DataStar.
I got it. So you saw that I wrote to the console from the back end. That's nice. If I want to do an error here, if like I want to send a error,
but like, what in your template picked up that?
Nothing. DataStar picked it up. The fact that DataStar is available.
Because you imported DataStar.
That's it.
Brought in a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, and by a bunch of stuff, we're talking about like a 10K shim.
Yeah.
And the nice part is it's a one-time thing, right? Now that it's cached, it never gets downloaded again. It's now free.
So you're talking to some DataStar component that came in on that script tag.
Yep.
Yeah, cool.
Okay, so now, and even if you want to send down, for example, let's say you had an error, like let's say we had an error of, what is it? I forget what it is. Is it format new error or error F?
Yeah, error.
Foo, and we want to actually just send down the error while we're doing debugging and stuff. Well, I'll tell you what, that's pretty damn convenient, isn't it? And you actually get an actual error type and all that stuff.
That's cool.
I'm going to interrupt you for 1 second. Somebody asked
absolutely.
why not use go get. We absolutely could have used go get, and it's just for me. And the reason I didn't mention go get was because we really use go get now to do upgrades. I will use go get if I want the master. I want like a main branch commit or something. I'll use go get. But the way Delaney did it, putting the version inside the mod file and then running go mod tidy, I think is 10 times easier than using go get to sort of do the same thing. So I like the approach Delaney took there to do that as opposed to using go get for that version. But usually if you're going to do a commit ID, like the latest commit on main, that's hard to do manually, and you'll leverage a go get. Go get is like old school sort of import stuff that got converted over to like upgrades. Anyway, I just wanted to answer that question, Delaney.
Oh yeah, no, it's a great question. Anything that anyone has here, please let me know, because I know, like, again, I'm going very slow with DataStar, showing you, like, I just want you to show there's no magic, right? Like, there's nothing magical going on here. We're just doing things, and you're like, how did you do that console log thing? Technically, what it does is actually does, if we go look at what console error actually does, in here, It's just doing. We have a thing called execute script. So there's 5 things you have to that you need to do to have an SDK in DataStar. You need to do 5 things. You need to say, I want to be able to merge fragments in of HTML. I want to be able to merge in signals, which we'll get to. I want to remove fragments. I want to remove signals. And I want to execute JavaScript from the backend. That's it. Like you implement that, you can have this in every language. That's why even though we're real small, we already have like 14 SDKs, right? Because it's only 5 functions you have to do. So in this case, we're literally telling the JavaScript thing to execute this code of java.console error or error. That's it. Like, again, not magic. We're just saying that. And then you're like, what's execute script do? If you go to execute script, it's saying, hey, what's the part that you care about? I'm sending down a new event with some retries, and I'm going to auto remove the script. And I'm going to basically send down this thing that gets turned into a script tag. And if we go into basically you're sending down a thing that says the event type is execute JavaScript, and it gives it some data. And if we go look at the actual,
so let me ask you a question then.
Sure.
Since there really wasn't so you make an initial request at start, and then everything is a response down that pipe.
Yep.
You keep it open.
We can do whatever we want.
Oh, I see what you did. That. So instead of a WebSocket that's hold open, you hold open a request, and it stays open, and then you're doing basically SSE down the pipe there, and you have that one handler that picks it up, and then all the beautiful work you did around that.
And not just that, if it closes, DataStar automatically opens it up. It automatically does back off for you. It automatically does exponential back off. It also does jitter for you. It also does like maximal retries. It also does like
all that's super cheap. It's super cheap.
Yeah, and the thing is, it has the same cost of doing long polling, but you're not polling. And instead of having a round trip time of request reply, even in a long polling situation, it's half the RTT because it's just down.
It's just down, right? Once you open it up, it's just down.
Once you open it up, and it doesn't cost anything. You can have hundreds of thousands of these on a machine, and having an open connection is a 0 issue in Go. It is a non-issue.
Yeah, it's a non-issue.
I've tested up to 40,000 active connections. It is just a non-issue.
It's a non-issue.
Okay, so
Go does that well.
Exactly. So I get why we got into this situation with spas and stuff, but it's not necessary. And then in the case of what does execute script actually do in the front end? Again, you're not a front end person, but all it's doing is creating a script tag on the fly, appending it, and then running that script.
Yeah.
Tag. That's it. Like it's
I see it.
It's very simple. Like we're not doing anything magic. That's the beauty of it, is that there is no magic. Okay. Now, just for funs and giggles.
It kind of just becomes a routing game at the DOM level at some point.
Exactly, which is why that whole thing of why do you have IDs is going to come really important.
There's your routing.
So now we have, in this submit thing, we have this placeholder of type text here, right? Yeah. Actually, we're gonna go back and finish up where we started, because we were just talking about like what SSE can do, and it's very simple. It's just this thing. But now we're gonna do let's do some Go stuff. Let's just say, now again, this could be an exponential backoff. It could be something that's driven by some backend process that says, hey, I only want this person paid X for premium, so they get updates every 1 second. This person is on an event bus, like they're only getting messages when a new message comes in, which we'll do in a second. But right now, we're just going to make a new ticker of every 1 second. We're going to do a for loop of that, and then a select. In this case, what we're going to do, it was not smart. We're going to say case. In fact, I will pull it off from here. You've learned about contexts, I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
At this point.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. So in this case, r.context is the client side context that they can close, right? They can do a done on that. So you're like, I'm going to listen on that context.done until they are done sending. Basically, if they close the connection, I know about it and I close this function, this handle.
But you're not really going to close that connection because you're trying to keep it open.
Right. I'm not going to do it, but if the client closes it, they can. Or if you say, hey, you only get 5 minutes worth of traffic, you're over your limit, we're going to return you. You do that as well, right? You could set a context, and you could basically set a with timeout on this, right? Because you can do like context with timeout, or with, I think it's with deadline. Yeah, with deadline, and then context. You could basically say you only get 5 minutes of access depending on whatever, right? But the point is, we're listening. If the client closes it, it's done. Otherwise, we're going to create a instance of that component, and I forget which one we did.
But at the end of the day, DataStar is the client here.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So in the chat messages, the thing is, it has an ID, right? So if we render something in DataStar with an ID, it automatically, because you can only have one ID on page, a unique ID for any
Right.
element on a page. So we already know what the ID is. So we know what your target is. So we know what to update, right? So because this is a fragment and it's just a function and go, we're just going to say, run the chat message with the current UI messages. And then we're going to say SSE. Here, do I need to make this a little bit bigger for you?
No, I'm watching.
Okay.
No, I'm good. It's good.
SSE, and then we're going to say merge temple fragment. And that's it.
So the chat
done.
message fragment function came from the code generation
Yep.
through your template. That's why we can see it here in
Yes.
web.go.
And the thing is, you can do merge of raw strings. You can do, I have my own templating library called GoStar, which is completely dynamic and does all these crazy fluent things. We can get into another time. If you're doing really dynamic stuff, GoStar is amazing, but I think most people should not use it. Or you can just do raw strings if you want to do your own Go templates or anything else, right? Like you can just do raw strings, but Temple is so good and GoStar is solid. Like, so those are just built in. So it's like, this is all the code you need to now have an updating UI.
So hold on a
That's
second.
it.
So chat message fragment was that templated code.
Yes. In fact, let's go back and
Show
look
me
at that real quick.
function again, real quick.
You got it. That's the whole thing.
So that is that code, and it's essentially rendering that div at the end of the day.
Yep. Just rendering
based on
all those divs.
messages.
And what happens is DataStar says that, oh, you sent me down this fragment that matches one that's already existing. So I'm going to not create new stuff and replace everything.
Oh,
I'm
I
going to
see.
actually merge it in and morph it for you automatically.
So if you go back to the other code, you're basically getting that HTML out of the function.
Yes.
And that's what you're sending down. And you said it's a merge fragment. So this isn't a replace. This is a...
No, it's automatically
it's a
morphing
replace.
it in. So the cool thing is, if you were typing in here and you had your focus on this certain, inside the selection, your focus doesn't get deleted in, because a new element's coming in. It actually reuses that element. So you could be in the middle of typing and you get a merge fragment of 1,000 elements and you would not lose your focus.
This is like Ajax on steroids, man.
Yeah, it's getting back to the ideas of Ajax, but better in every way.
Cool.
I was doing this stuff in 2004 with Ajax and jQuery, and
yep.
But this is much nicer.
So now we did that. This should be like, we're done now. That's it. So if we go and I'm going to refresh this because I don't know where our current state is. So if you look, we now have you're seeing that it's actually pulling down. You can tell because it has a new image each time. It's actually pulling down, but otherwise the XHR
we're
thing,
reloading the same data on that timer over and over again.
So
we don't see it in the browser. So
right. So the thing is just reloading, and the thing is that's already cached, so it doesn't cost you anything. But the point is, if you look, this is the entire. People talk about SSE being this crazy hard thing. It's literally event data, and then in this case, it's sending down fragments, and then here's your fragment. That's it. That's all there is. And the two new lines is basically saying it's a new message.
You know what I hate about that though, dude? Like, and I have to
don't
do it
know
on
what
the
you
Go
hate about
side with SSE when we're dealing with like, you have to parse out data and fragments before you get to, or in this case, data before you get to your JSON, right? And I always felt like, why couldn't the whole, this is just me ranting, right? Why couldn't the whole thing be like JSON? Why is it like data colon and then what I guess what they're doing is a header and then whatever the data is comes next.
Yes.
I
mean, the thing about HTTP in general is that it's a very verbose format.
Yeah.
But what's really interesting, and this is now built into the new DataStar SDK, is we automatically do Brotli and gzip and Z standard for you, which means you now, because all this is, it's actually using the same one large window for the compression. You're getting between 103 or 250 to 1 compression of this stuff. Because it's like having it's almost as if you try to compress all of this but you're only sending down individual fragments.
So much
you're
of it
getting
is the same. You're probably getting great compression.
Right. But the point is that no other process does that actually happen. Where for us, it's almost a zero cost. And that's why when we got to Hacker News on a $15 server, it did not throw things over. It did not fall over with a live real-time multiplayer game. Because we were sitting down, the one Anders that made a thing where he's sitting down a megabyte of traffic on a $15 server. That's a lot for a single, a $15 server. But compared to the 200 megabytes a second he would have been sending, it's
But
monumental.
who's doing the compression?
The browser already knows how to do all this
Oh, you
stuff.
get it for free.
You get it for free because literally, if we go look at the sources or network here, and we look at headers, we say we take glib deflog brotli z standard, and the response is going to be I don't know, the response header is I guess I'm not seeing where it says, but it should
I see
say
it right
like
there.
brotli.
Encoding gzip deflate br.
Yeah. There you go. So the point is that you're doing things, even if you're dumb about it, you're so much better than anyone else is by like miles.
But that means
Because
that you have to send it. Like, is that just a header and the HTTP package knows how to do that?
It's already part of the data. That's part of using the SDK. We just handle it for you.
You guys have done that work in the data stream.
Yeah.
side.
So we default to doing all that work for you, and you can turn it off, but we default to doing it for you. And part of the thing is, if you look at the SSE, when you say a merge thing, you can basically add in DataStar, and you can say, I want to do with compression. It's when you first start off the DataStar thing. It's in here.
No, I get it though. Like that's pretty badass, dude.
DataStar with compression, and you set which compression levels and all that stuff. Like we have all the options in Variadics because it's nice to deal with. So
right, but the browser does the decompression for you automatically.
Yes, and you get it for free. It's built into the browsers, and it's also at the C++ level, not at the JavaScript level. So it's already faster, which is the reason why JSON is so fast in the browsers, is because it's C++ that's getting called, not
Go's already giving you support for this stuff too.
Yep. Well, we have to use like CLOSPOS H compression and stuff like, but the gzip one's built in. But yeah, like brotli and Z standard are not part of Go standard. But I'm kind of against the grain when it comes to, I will use the right. Go is so simple to read. I don't care if it's in the standard lib. Like if it's good code and I can read it, I will take it in.
Fair.
I don't like.
Fair.
I don't. Yeah, things move faster than the Go standard should go.
No, that's fair.
Right?
That's fair.
Like I don't want Temple to be in the Go standard. I want it to innovate, right? Okay,
True.
so
it has
literally
to slow down. You're right.
So if you ran a message right now, even though we're not refreshing or anything, start sending some messages, Bill, please.
All right.
Because I know I talked, but I hope you can see.
Message number 10. Here, message A.
There it is.
That's fast. Yeah.
No, but it's not fast enough. And this is what I'm talking about. Okay.
No, I know, because we're on a 1 second loop here. So
yeah, this is ridiculous. This is not okay. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do rand message just for giggles, just so that we can have a conversation. And then that's going to return an app message. And then we're going to, app message. We're going to do an ID. I'm going to pull it. Again, you guys can take this out. Feel free to, but I have a toolbox of all kinds of fun things that I use regularly. So I'm going to just steal from myself because that's easier for me. Apologies.
Remember how I said everybody has a toolbox of code over time?
Yep.
What did he call it?
Tool belt.
Tool belt.
Yep.
I told Kevin that like a month ago.
Yep.
Over time, you develop your own toolbox of code. And
you sure do, and it's like the Snap-on vendor. Like you end up having to go to the Snap-on guy if you've ever dealt with tools. Like if you see the van in front of your house, it's a bad day. So why did it not pick that up? Sorry, I'm not really set up well for
just do go mod vendor after you do go mod tidy. Just manually.
Yeah, I guess I actually have to use it first before it thinks that I'm using it.
You have to use it or it will disappear.
Yeah, that's why I sorry. Let me go back in here. And so I was making an ID, and we're going to do tool belt, and I'll do that. And
what I normally do, Delaney, in these situations is I just do package name .new, even if that API doesn't exist. Then I can add the import to the top.
Yeah.
So just pretend there's a new function.
Well, the nice thing is that in my code base, it automatically picks up all these things because they're all cached in my
Right.
stuff. So I never run into this, but yeah, I'm just not set up properly.
No, it's fair. So just change that n to just new parenthesis or n could be fine too. Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Then you
true.
could do go mod. N's fine, right? You're using the.
I
That's fine.
thought it was, yeah, but it's not. It didn't. It's not
So
doing it.
sometimes the tooling doesn't work. So now you can manually add the import for tool belt at the top. So do that.
I did do that, and it's not picking it up. So let me go into repos.
Wait a second. Just
USDL.
work with me one more time here.
Sure.
Go back to this code for a second.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you've got tool belt dot. Let's pretend
And
that there's a function called new. Let's just do that. And
Sure.
you put the comma after it. Okay. Now
Yep.
let's go to the top. Now let's. Oh, there it is. Now I think you have bad syntax. Okay. Now we should be able to do a go mod tidy go mod vendor.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be doing it, and I'm not sure why, but it could be because something else isn't compiling right now.
But what do you see it not doing, other than
It's
web? Is
literally not compiling. But the thing is, I think part of it is the temple thing is not happy.
Pretty print user.
Okay.
Undefined. Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
Did we somehow lose that?
I'm not sure. Initializing fail, standard inconsistent.
It's not a version issue, but that's well.
Pretty prints right there. I don't know why. What I'll
Is
do
there
is I'll
is there a
actually
new
delete-
function for tool belt? Like we just threw it in there to keep the import.
Here.
Oh.
Now, inconsistent vendoring. I think, yeah, I don't use vendoring a lot. I use it at the end of a project, not while doing.
Yeah, I know, but none of that should matter. I've never had problems with vendoring.
Okay. Okay, let's see if that did. Go mod current one is newer. Don't save. Let me reload VS Code and see where we're at. Sometimes when you're making a bunch of these changes, it gets really antsy.
Yeah, I have to reload too sometimes.
Forgot to close new function.
We may have the tool belt dot new might be bad too, and it's not helping.
Let's see. Problem. Could not import. No package requires. Let me just try my stuff, my task stuff. I want to convert you over to task so bad.
Yeah, it's never gonna happen.
Okay, great. It says import lookup go mod is at least 114. I have no idea what that's. Again, this is not. I don't know what the problem is here.
Okay, let me see what it says.
Method incorrect there. Package already installed.
Import lookup. It doesn't like go h temple for some reason in your vendor.
Web.go.
So let's do the following, Delaney. Delete
Yes.
the vendor folder and then just run go mod vendor again.
Sure, you got it. Vendor, see ya.
Now run go mod vendor.
Go mod tidy, go mod vendor. And now we're down to one error, which is good, I guess. It says print user is not in web. Okay.
So let's go back to web.go.
Well, hold 1 second. This could be on me, though. I'm just making sure because it's literally right there at the bottom. So why is it not picking that up? I don't know. I haven't seen this before.
It could be the last code change we made with your tool belt. I don't know. Maybe it had to rebuild.
Maybe. Yeah, for some reason it doesn't like that hex user. I'm gonna say okay. Let me just comment out this line because there's like I'm in a weird place with the. Like we're in a weird place where things aren't compiling, which makes it harder to
I know, but
compiling.
that all started happening when we added tool belt, right?
For sure.
So
I
we
just
should
don't
go
know
back
what.
to that one line of code for tool belt, I think, and
Go missing comma or folder something in setup. It doesn't like.
yeah, I'd go to where we.
Oh, there has to be something. Oh, that's why it was all freaking out because this wasn't.
Yeah,
Mm.
that wasn't right.
Yeah. Okay. So now are we in a better place?
Well, that's still not right. What is it trying to do? Your literal function ran message.
Oh, it's just saying it's not
returned-
being used.
Oh,
So,
okay, good.
so I'm going to comment out this line. I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to go rand. Okay. Tool belt. There is no new. There is next ID though. What doesn't like about tool
Double
belt?
check that we have the import still
Yep.
at the top. We have it. That's
It's
good.
there.
It's always the fun thing about live coding. Okay.
No, it's all good.
Let's do that. Just get back. I just want to get back to.
Well,
Web
go
Go.
back to the tool belt. Yeah, because
Well, it's going to be any function. Next, coded ID.
that's a string,
Oh.
not a
Common address.
common. I think it's common parse address. There's a parse function.
Okay. Maybe I just need to do. Oh, is there a way to do
Yes, if you can do a common.parse address, but I think it returns an error, so you might have to do it above.
Okay, we're gonna stop doing this. We're getting off into the weeds. Okay, what I'm gonna show here instead.
No, I know what you were trying to do. Just when I respond, you respond to another message. But we were close to having that, dude. We just had to use your common message, your common address.
Yeah, I guess because it was a string, we were gonna end up in a bad place, I think, anyway.
Well,
Task or make tidy. So if we go back to here, okay, are we at least back to? Can we be back to running, please? Let's be back to running. Okay, so we're back to running. Great. Now what we're going to do is, even though it does not matter, we're going to go from second to milliseconds. Cool. We are now
we're now
updating.
eating our CPU up.
No, we're not. We're not, because we're not sitting down that much stuff. If we go, let's
We're
go
not?
to see.
Give me your
No.
show me your activity monitor. Let's see. I guess a millisecond is still a lot of time to
That's
to
a
wait.
ton of time.
Yeah,
So
that's fair.
let's see. What is it called? It's called USDL.
Yep.
Filter USDL. So we are using USDL. We're using 17 megabytes of memory and 0.4% of my CPU, of one CPU. 0.3%.
That's the
of one
browser.
CPU.
Yeah, milliseconds a lot of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So cool. Point is, DataStar is not your bottleneck. You can now send as much data as you want. You're probably fine. And the nice part is, there is the cost of that initial.
Wait, go back to that other window because I want to see your memory going up.
Which memory?
I saw.
Oh, the B top.
No, here in the browser, I was seeing megs.
Yeah, undersized.
Yeah, that's how many of uncompressed megs I'm sending down.
Okay.
Because I'm sending down all these new images every time because we have that proxy thing going on right now.
Yeah.
If we do XHR and we do a refresh, yeah, like I'm sending down megabytes, but most of it has to do with the images and stuff. Like if we get rid of that, it's tiny, and also we're.
But you see how the number's increasing. So what does that mean?
That means that we're sending more and more images, because the thing is, I'm sending down a new gravatar every single time. So if we go into chat and we take off we had an image for the Pravatar thing, where we're sending down a new thing for every user. And now if we run it, the nice part is, notice I didn't do anything. It automatically reconnected and it's now sending down data. Like notice I had to change to my backend thing. Like for example, because I'm sending down new data each time.
Oh, but that's over time. It doesn't mean that memory's still being used.
No,
anymore.
No,
it's
not at all.
over.
Yeah, it's over time. Yeah.
That's
okay.
also the network. That's how many megabytes of data I've sent.
on
not how
that
many-
connection, which
on
is
that connection.
gonna always look like it's growing.
Well,
just
it has
'cause it's
to.
it's a constant. Yeah. Okay.
It literally tells you how much network you're using, right?
Yeah. On that
Which
connection.
again, we're sending thousands of messages. We're sending every message
Yeah.
and the entire set every 1,000 times. So it's not sending each message. We're sending 5,000 messages a second.
Yeah. But and even that's inefficient because we only have to load that list once and then just send the new message.
Right.
Yeah.
Again, this has to do with like I'm just making sure that you guys realize like all the work's been done so that
Yeah.
you
No,
never-
I see it.
it's
Light
built
bulbs
for
are
scale
on,
from
dude.
day one, right?
It's
So,
crazy.
Yeah, that's the hope. That's the hope here is that it is never your issue. And again, we
Yeah.
got on Hacker News with a $10 or $15 server using less than half of it. So, okay, cool. Now we're updating the messages. We got rid of that image that was taking all our thing. What's interesting is because we're re-rendering this. Watch, if I add that image back in and hit save, I
Yeah,
start
you just
restarted the. I
recompiled
restarted
it.
the. I
Yeah.
recompiled it, but look, that just updated.
DataStar reconnected automagically.
Yep. And you don't have to worry.
it's all
It does
working.
auto back off. It does all these things for you. So
Yeah.
you can be editing your stuff live, even though you're completely ripping apart DataStar. It's gone. Like, or the backend that you guys did, the GUI is gone. Rebuild it up and it automatically reconnect
Yeah.
and get back to where it was.
Yeah, it's nice.
Very cool.
Cool. All right. So we're gonna close. We're not gonna do that image so we don't because that's a
I
very
don't
nice
care
service.
about the data. I mean, I look
Yeah.
pretty anyway, so I was liking it.
So the interesting thing is users now gone. I don't know what would cause that. We had it there before. I don't know why.
I know
it
you
would be-
should
Oh,
uncomment.
because
Right
yeah,
there, right
uncomment
there,
the code that does that. That's probably a good
Yeah.
idea. The thing that
Uncomment
does
all
the
it.
thing.
You should uncomment all that code we had working, dude. Oh.
Yeah, that seemed like a really silly thing to try to do. So if I do that, and because this isn't part of the SSE,
For some
it's
reason,
not gonna
that
get
line variable, that code you just uncommented, had a line variable we're not using. Oh, there it is. There, okay. But it's declared inside the for, so I don't know how that was ever working.
Oh, because we had pretty print. We had this in place.
Ah, right. Okay.
Again, we're back. Great. Cool.
Good.
I know we've kind of had a lot of asides, but that's the whole point. DataStar literally, now you see why I said DataStar takes 5 minutes to put in, if not less than that. Like, it's just a non-issue. It's more about teaching you guys the entire process. Like, it's less than 5. If I was just going to do this whole thing by myself, kind of like you saw me do open props, right?
Yep.
DataStar's
Yep.
faster than that. So so now we're going to talk. Okay. Now we want to make it so that when we click on this guy, we load something in the background, right? We load assets. That's
Well,
what we want to do, right?
when we click on a user, we go fetch their messages and load that window.
Yes.
Vice versa.
Great. Let's do that right now. Let's go do some fun. See, now we're actually getting into DataStar stuff, which is the fun part. So we go into users, and for each user, this is basically saying if there's no user. See, this is what's nice, Bill, compared to the templates you're used to. This is literally Go code, right? You'd say, if there's no users, make this div. Else, go. This double quote thing is saying do raw Go code here. Just do like normal Go
a
code.
raw Go template. Oh, raw Go
Yeah.
code.
Just
Okay.
do Go stuff. Because the thing is, this sorted user and all this stuff, this has only to do with the template. So why do you have to go set all this stuff in a function, then put it into your formatter and do all this crazy? Like, no, just write the code in place that you need for the thing that's below it, right? Like, there's no reason to do that. So for each user, we have a line. And what is line right now? It's a pretty printed user. Okay, so we have this user right now that's just basically like a formatted string. But now we're going to do some stuff. We're going to say, how do you think we should just, when they click on it, it goes and loads those messages, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
that's how I
Yep.
do it today.
Exactly.
Great. So we're going to do data on click. Now this could be data on key down, data on thing. In fact,
Now you got to
data
clear
on-
the window too with what's in there.
no, you don't.
Yeah, you do. I don't want to see Kevin's
No,
messages. if
again,
I'm
we're
picking
going to
on
just
the lady.
we're just going to update it with a fragment of messages.
All right, we'll see what happens.
Great. Data on click. And we're going to say, we're going to do a post. Actually,
I think
Yeah,
that
you're
get
gonna-
call you had already would have worked if you can pass the ID.
but we're not passing. The thing is that we're like, what we could do is we could set it so that, yeah, it's one of those things. Do you want to make it so the way I would do this is I would have the web UI automatically be listening to the messages that come from your chat thing. Like it should be listening on NGS directly, I think.
Well, what we do is whichever user is selected, if a message comes in for that user, we pop it on the screen immediately.
When you say pop on the screen, I don't know what you mean by that, because here's what I want. I want to be able to, in this update function where we're basically setting updates, I want to be able to subscribe to a channel or a NGS message, like a NATS message. I want to be able to subscribe to something so that when I see a message coming in for that user, I can basically subscribe.
Let me show you what we do here. Save this, switch over to the TUI real quick.
Should I commit where we're at just since?
Yeah. Commit where we're at, and then switch over to the TUI so I can show you.
Okay. And this is the funny thing is DataStar stuff is all about
your stuff.
All the time is spent in like, what does the backend actually want to do, right? Like the DataStar part's not the hard part. It's deciding how to create these things.
Okay.
It's not running.
No. Oh, started.
Because you're running the wrong ones. You got to switch over to TUI. Did we lose Delaney?
No, I'm right here.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah. So go into main and switch that over to the TUI real quick. No, stop, Kevin.
Okay.
Open up the code since you pulled latest. You manually, you're not going to push it back. We'll switch back over to the TUI.
Okay.
And then Delaney's going to do the same thing so we can show something.
Okay.
So
UI.
Client main.
Yeah, your thing isn't, you hadn't done the same thing. Set client update client was the wrong thing here, so I have to fix that real quick.
All right.
Cool. All right. So
Okay, you run that, Kevin.
Hold on.
No, dude.
Right?
Keep it UI. All right. You shouldn't have gotten latest. So
Okay.
hold yours there for a second.
All right.
It's going to work anyway, even if I don't have you running. So you're running the regular UI now, right? You see
correct.
Kevin and you see Bill. So switch over to Kevin. Click on Kevin. Okay. So now you're in Kevin's world, right? I'm going to send you another message. Here is message B. I'm going to hit enter. You see how that went star?
Yep.
Just telling you there's a pending message in that conversation.
Yep.
Now, if you click on Bill, you'll see all the messages, including that last one. So
okay.
Kind of how we want to do it.
You got it. Okay. Let's make that happen.
Okay.
Let's see. We're going to get back to the good version. No, the one that doesn't work yet. So when it comes to the actual web UI part, right now I just have messages.
Yeah.
We're going to go in here and I'm going to do a map of common address map. Again, I think that doing this directly with NATS will be easier, but we could talk about that another time kind of thing. Same thing with web UI. We're going to do messages, same thing. So now we have it per message. That's going to cause some errors here so that when we go UI messages, we need to grab the current user, right? So that's it's called UI.app query by contact ID.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you get that thing, which gives us the U and the error.
But that's not necessarily my account. That's going to be the account they selected, right?
Yeah, UI my account. I guess you're right. It's how do we know
How do you know which one they selected?
Well,
Yeah,
here's the thing: is that active, or how about this visible user?
Right, because you need information almost to come back to say they just selected a user in this.
No, I got it. Don't worry, we'll get there.
I'm really worried, Delaney, because you haven't gotten anything working yet. No.
So we have a visible user, and then when you start and run, how do you know who the first visible user is? I guess that's my first question. Like,
So
you do
that
new.
should be, you need to select the first user, let's say.
Okay.
So you got to have at startup an active user if there is one.
Yep. So we have app. Oh, we have set app. When set app gets called, right?
When we do set app, then on the TUI side, that's when I'm sort of
UI.
selecting somebody. Yeah. I mean, that's how
Yeah,
I did
okay.
it, but you don't have
No,
to
that's
do
fine.
it.
We got contacts. And then we
Actually,
got
the
first
UI
one.
that I'm using auto magically selects the first user for me, I think.
Well, that's not good.
Well, I didn't say it does what it does.
So if we do contacts, and we do this guy, and then we say if the length of contacts is greater than 0, then we will say UI visible user
Set it to the
ID.
first one.
Yeah, just set it to the first one. So we'll get the first guy when it starts up, and then when it comes to here, if there is an error, in this case, I wouldn't do this in production, right? Like this is a bad idea to send your internal errors, but I'm going to send down the go error so I can see it in the console of the other side, just to say, hey, like what's going on, so that we're not,
That's fair.
Then I'm going to say with this user, the message. Oh, I don't even have to keep the messages. I can just. Is it costly for me to just ask you for the messages from a user?
No, I mean, I don't, even if, let's say the user even had 10,000 messages cached out. I mean, I
Yeah,
think
no,
for
I just
now,
want-
you can just do that. That's fair.
So this is,
Query.
sorry, use dot messages. Yeah,
No.
that's it. Okay.
Oh,
Well, because
that's
I
your
just queried
cache.
contact my ID, right?
Yeah, you just got back. Yep. That's it.
Instead of my ID, which it's visible, and then we go if UI visible user equals. I guess that's because, yeah, I'm not sure visible user is going to be, I don't know this common address. So we're just going to call it zero user right now, which will give us the null value. And we'll say if this is the null, we'll just continue. Otherwise, we're going to do all this stuff. So we're going to grab the current one, and then we're going to send down the messages from that user. Cool. So yeah, and again, this timeout of a millisecond or whatever, I think is not right. We'll do every 10 times like a second. But the reason why is because I would want to have a direct channel that says when a message comes in, you give me a channel that I can listen to, and then I only run this when I need to.
Yeah, because that's the thing, right? You only want to do it when that event occurs.
Yeah. So this polling is completely wrong in my opinion. Like the thing is, I want a channel, I want a NAT subscription or something to be able to just hook into so that I'm only doing this when I need to. So the whole thing about Go and DataStar together is that everything's push based. So you're only sending data when you need to. You never poll.
So
This
let's
polling
talk
thing
about
is
that
ridiculous.
because that event's
Please.
happening in the browser. That
That
click
event.
event's happening in the browser.
So technically it's not. What's happening is, or the click event's happening, but how we respond to that. Okay, I'm going to take a step. Let's take a step back just for a second. Once we write the text, let me see if there's anything that I need to do. This write text thing, I don't think we need to do this anymore. I don't think because we're not going to actually write text or anything. Like this write text doesn't happen for us anymore. Like I don't think we need this. I don't think right now. Okay. So what else is wrong? So
Yeah, that
loading
write text
context
is called by my code anytime I want to write something to that window.
right. And in
But
this
right
case,
now
we're
you're
doing this.
ignoring that. Yeah.
We just did this real quick to get rid of it. So we're going to get rid of that because each time we subscribe, we're going to just go and do the code we need to do. Okay. So now if we go back
But you need
to
the write text function there to satisfy the interface.
yeah, I think we're okay there.
Okay.
Honestly.
I didn't see
I
what
think
you
we're
just
okay.
deleted. I was
I was deleting the fact that we were loading the messages like
Oh, okay. All
when
right.
you first loaded the thing, because we're
Yeah.
gonna load it each time you click on the user,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
Got it.
So now if we do task W, oh God, really?
I try to do everything from the root. We should have added some make commands that
Yeah,
change the directory and stuff.
yeah. Well, I like task files. You can pry them
Yeah.
from my cold dead hands. So,
He's like, hold my hoops.
so UI messages that no longer exists. So chat fragments. We don't need messages. What we do need is when we first run the code. I'm just trying to think because now we're running the chat messages, and the messages are coming from someone. It's not coming from this.
You could do a query call there if you want.
We could do a query call here.
Why not?
Yeah, in
If you
fact,
have access to app.
oh, that's the nice thing is, of course we do. What we could, what's interesting is since we're doing that directly in this query contact thing and all that, and we're creating a message like based off of the visible user, I don't think now
I don't think
we
you need
even
it.
need
Yeah.
we don't need messages anymore. Like
No, you
messages
don't.
just goes away because we just
Yeah.
don't. It's not needed. And what we do is we make it so that this UI thing actually takes in a set of messages, right? Because we're able to grab them as we want. So in this case, we're just going to periodically put in messages. And then when we go back to messages at the top level, because now it's variadic. So when we first load this thing, it's not going to grab any messages. I'm going to change this. How do I want to do that? Yeah, so when we first load the page, we are going to grab the user, and then we're going to grab all their messages in this case. So page chat will take, it took UI, now it's going to take a set of messages, and it's going to send down those messages as well. So now, when we have this user and we don't need that. And since this is not DataStar yet, we send back an HTTP error. Cool. And then we take the user messages and splat them in. So when we first load the page, it's going to grab whoever the active user is. If it's nobody, great, don't do it. If it is somebody, do it. And the only reason why I almost think we need to do var messages, and that's a string of app message. And the reason why doing this is that we don't know if this user is visible or not, right? So we're trying to, I have that same issue with zero message. So let me move this guy up here because, yeah. So we just have this zero message guy, and we're basically saying, hey, if visible user is not equal to zero user, go do this stuff and put it in message. Now, should we pull this stuff out and like have a different function? Probably. We should probably do that, but we'll get to that because we keep using this query and then grab messages thing. I'm gonna just do that now because we're doing it in multiple places, and I don't really like that. So we're gonna
that's why I didn't like that either. That's why I put it in that one event handler and sort of force the event to occur at startup.
Yeah, current messages. Well, the thing is, it's not just running it now; it's running it all the time, right? It's going to use it all the time.
Right now you're running it every 100 milliseconds.
Yeah, web UI, get current messages, and then we're going to go, get the message, and then, well, because we're going to send back a slice anyway, so even if it's at 0, it'll be 0.
Yeah, it will be an empty slice.
Yeah, so we'll do this. We'll call it messages because it could be empty, and say if UI.
Why name the return argument there? I'm always teaching
the reason why
that unless you need it.
Well, the reason why is because if there isn't a visible user, we just return messages. Otherwise, we'd have to define it.
I would rather you return the slice of app message and make that clear. Like I would teach to not name that and just send the 0 value for the return argument, which could be nil, by the way. I would rather see that say return nil and not name
Yeah, okay. I disagree, but this is your code base, so I'll live in your space. That's fine.
I mean, that's really the Go idiom, Delaney.
I'm aware of Go idioms. That doesn't always mean I
Okay.
have to agree with them.
No, that's true.
Like the thing is, for me, it's a form of documentation. Like it's saying I'm calling
I
this
think
message.
this
and when
documents it much more than you putting messages there.
you are the teacher, so I will. I will.
It's not about that. I wish we had more time to debate the readability of that, but
Yeah, no, that's the value of this stuff, right? Like I'm not a teacher of this stuff, so it's it's a like workman versus scholar that's thought about
not
this
that.
stuff.
But if we had time, I would want to debate the readability of
Sure,
readability is about not hiding the cost of something. And I feel
100%.
like if you name the return argument and say messages, we're not really clear if you're returning any data or not.
I
But if
guess
I
my
say
thing is
return, yeah,
here's my retort to that. If I do s string, I'm putting that on the stack, right? That return value is already on the stack. I'm just labeling the return value. It's already on the stack. Like you're guaranteed that there's has to be something that's part of the stack initialization to get that. I'd rather have that named as part of my return, just so that I can say explicitly what its intent is. Because if you have the reason, I guess throwing it to a
remember, I'm just using nil, so I'm not
okay, so
declaring a variable.
here's
Stack
my
space is cheap.
again. It's not about it's the fact that if I have foo here and I do int string.
Well, okay, this is different. This is different because you want to return 3 ints, and from a documentation standpoint, but I would still tell you not to use those variables for anything because it gets super confusing about what's being returned. I would still tell you to use the 0 value on a return. Plus, that would be a smell already anyway for a bad API design, right? So,
okay. So again, I come from C. So like what I think is like an idiom from Go is, it depends. Okay. So we are using it in the one place. Let's query by ID. This guy is now gone, and we can just do messages equals UI current messages. Then we just put that in here.
maintainer.
I guess
Cool.
temple.
Okay. So again, I put these on different lines. You could just do this on one line, but I'd rather it be so I can because the thing is I use debug printing. I use debug a lot, so I like to be able to step through and see what's being built. Okay. So hopefully we are still back to doing stuff. So no messages found right now because there's no messages. I didn't make it default to the 0 value. No, we did. Why are
we did, but I don't think there's a user selected right now.
No, but I thought that the visible user should be the first user that was selected.
Well,
so the question, so the question is this getting hit at all?
we got 10 minutes left. So just as a heads up, I guess I'm going to need you back for one more day on Thursday.
Sure.
Right.
We can make that happen.
I love listening to this. This is like battle of the minds.
There's no battle going on here.
Okay, so it says it's visible. What's interesting, it says, am I visible? It is, but it's not. There's no way that it
Well, what was the hex? What was the user ID? You logged that too, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm gonna do it right now. Yeah, now we're gonna do that. So if we refresh the page and go back down, it's saying default contact 0x2 ends in 17D.
That's me, 17D.
Okay,
Phil.
so the thing is, so unless you don't have messages, it should have picked up those messages.
Well, I do. So
yeah,
let's go to the code that does the query and see if that is being brought back over.
Yes, good idea. So during the update here, so it's doing it every 10 milliseconds. So what we'll do is let's do a log print. Yeah, we'll do it on tick. Just make sure
well, what's current messages? We should look at that code too. Is that doing the query?
So it's doing yes, that's the thing I just did that basically goes, so it's saying if visible not user, send back, otherwise do the query and get their messages.
So let's log what visible user is. Oh, dude, you did not equal user. It should be equal on line 46.
Thank you. See? Cool. Hey!
There it is.
The one-time pair programming worked out amazingly. This is great. Awesome. So, okay, we are getting new messages. We're doing our thing. And we still have that Pravatar thing. We should probably get rid of that so we're not just
Hey,
beating their
Delaney,
bandwidth.
somebody's joined that knows some people that maintain Temple.
Is Adrian on?
I think they're sleeping, but we're going to be doing more of this on Thursday, so maybe they can join.
Yeah, Adrian's awesome, and so is stuff the K. I forget. It's not Kevin or maybe Kyle. Like, there's that team is great. Like, they're wonderful guys. I still have some features that I really wish they would implement, but that's a whole nother thing. I bought him a bunch of beers in Montana, and I still haven't got my feature yet. So I'm pretty miffed about that.
You must have bought them some pretty bad beer, dude. You got to
I must have.
whiskey.
So, do you want to know what my biggest feature I want from them is? So every time you do Go stuff, it's basically it has to be a string. So you have to put string or format.sprintf or anything like that. It doesn't take the stringer interface or anything like that. So I want it so you can do this, and it calls stringer. That's it.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's all I want, and it's
fair.
like that. I've been asking for that for like a year and a half now, so it's okay.
So, dude, drop my okay. I'm Lotus Engineer here. I'm gonna drop my email address. Kevin, drop my email address. You need to call me for Thursday or send me an email address for Thursday. Maybe we can get somebody else on too.
Yeah, anyone from the Temple
Bill
team,
or
like
Bill at Ardan Labs, dude.
yes. Happy to I love Temple so much. There's some things I wish I had. So okay. So now we're gonna get back to the actual thing, right? Like, how much time do we have left?
We got 5 minutes, and I have a hard
Perfect.
stop.
Let's see what we can get done in that amount of time. Okay, so we went back to that user, and we have the users, and we have their lines. Great. What I want to do is I want to have this on a new line. So these are the users at the top, and then I'm gonna say data on click. We're gonna go do a thing, which is we're basically gonna post to a new endpoint, and we're gonna say change user, and then we're gonna give it a thing like that. Actually, I forgot.
So this is a new endpoint you're going to call, not using the SSE channel we already have.
Nope.
And
because
that's how we're going to get the click. And then you're going to send that response down the SSE channel.
Yep.
Okay. So this is like a no response endpoint. It's just a
when people talk about SSE, they always think that it's some crazy complicated thing, or it can only has to be streaming. No, it can be a one-off thing and then goes away, right? Like, there's nothing wrong with that. That's totally normal and fine. So in this case, we're gonna use the DataStar has some helpers in Go, and one of them is post SSE, which takes a URL formatter. So it's kind of like doing string format, like format F, right? So we're just going to say, give it this, and then give it the ID. And what is ID here? Why is it mad at me about ID? Sorted user. There's string, but okay, we need.
See, that ID is embedded in some tag, right?
Yeah, no, that part is fine. What I need to do is I basically need to have instead of sorting the users as a string, I need to make a quick little, I'm just going to move quickly because I know we're running out of time. So I need to have user, and then that's the ID and name. And then when we come into sorted thing, it'll
really
use
just need the ID,
user,
right? To do the.
Well, I mean, technically, yes, we could do this really quickly and just do common. Because the thing is, we're trying to put the name Bill and Kevin there. Now, I'll do it correctly so that we don't get lost next time, because that's how you get lost. Sorted user, and then for each one of these things, we're gonna do it called label. So for this, we're gonna do label. We're gonna do U equals user ID, and the label is that. Cool, and then we do U common ID. Oh, because it's common ID or common address.
Address, yeah.
Yeah, common address. Okay, so we have that thing, and then we have to, because it's now not just a string, we have to do sort by function, and then we say function AB user, and we do it by their, by their name is, I think, correct. It has to take an int. So we do the thing where you have to do, it's label compare or string compare.
Int or oh yeah.
So we sort by those, and now we get back a u, and we get the line u dot label, and then we can also say for this part we're going to say u dot id dot hex, right?
Sure.
No.
Cool. Now we did a data on click to this new endpoint that takes a data hex. Okay, so we'll go back here. We'll say chat updates, and we'll say route host. Really, we should have our own chat endpoint, but we're running out of time, so I will do that next time. Cool. And then in this case, we just taking the user hex ID, right? And then we say user hex ID is that. And then if it's not anything, we return. Otherwise, we go ID equals common address hex to that. And then we say if it's 0 user, we return. Otherwise, how do we set in the UI app? How do we set the current? Oh, we just say visible user. That's it. We just say UI visible user equals ID, and that's it. The only thing that might be an issue is we're setting that in 2 different Go routines because each request is in its own Go routine, right? So we probably want to make a quick
Let's
little.
just add a note that we have to deal with the data race just because we're out of time.
Okay, cool. Out of time. But now when we click on this guy, we should be able to set Kevin and messages. There we go. We're done.
Oh, it's working. That's badass.
Very cool.
All right, let's commit this branch. Commit this to the branch, and then we're gonna do one more day with you. We're gonna finish up on Thursday.
Again, the DataStar stuff is not the part that takes any time. It's all the minutia around,
No,
doing
but
back
then Kevin and I can next week can take this code.
you guys
you've
can
given
start
us.
driving. Yeah, you guys can start
cleaning it
driving
up and
because
stuff. But
yeah, you can
Let's
start asking
finish.
questions or do all that. So
we got all the basics now. I know we got two-way communication going, so it's beautiful. All right,
Yep.
let's
Awesome.
commit that. And I'm gonna fix the other problem now since we changed the interface. But all right, switch us over to the other screen as he's committing all that.
committed and all done. Should I stop sharing?
Yep, you can stop sharing. Dude, that was a nice 2 hours, man. And now all the
Yeah.
light bulbs have turned on. Mechanically, I know what he's semantically, I know everything he's doing.
It was
right?
awesome to see it all work.
That's a lot of work, dude. How long you been working on DataStar to get to that level?
About 2 years.
Yeah.
The thing is that the first 2 weeks, the ideas were locked in place. Like nothing has changed about that. We have people from the HTMX community now, the Clojure community, PHP community that have made the API so much better. Like it is so much easier to use now from the outside. Like I was able to work in just like, this is good enough. But the API now is really solid. You can do real-time animations. You can do all the stuff that we haven't even gotten into the cool animations and moving things around and zips and zoops and all that. Like
we're
everything
doing that
you
on
can do now-
Thursday, dude, because
Okay.
now we can move fast.
Yeah, now it's about moving fast. Now we can.
I don't care
actually
about the
everything.
code being clean. I'll do some code cleanup. I just
Okay.
want to get all the semantics, right? All the
Mhm.
things in place. We get that working, and we can do some code cleanup. But
Well, same thing with the
really
temple stuff. Now that that's done, you're in a better place. Now that the data star's in place, now we can really rock and roll.
yeah. All right. We're at the edge here. Thank you again for all your time. We're going to see if we can get one of the temple people in here too. That could be fun on Thursday. Then we can stop using the terminal UI and we start using our browser-based
Fancy new data
DataStar UI and keep rocking and rolling on this thing.
Yeah, no,
For
I think
sure.
it's a fun time. DataStar is always the easy part, but yeah, now we're getting into the weeds of
Well,
like, what do you want to do? So
What we do is we get it to work where you can run both, really, right?
Yeah.
You can do
that's
some
what
of that work.
that's the ideal, I think, because there's times when you want to run locally. Like, I think you should be able to run both.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that. All right.
Awesome.
So I will see you again on Thursday, same time, because I'm training this week. And hope to see everybody again on Thursday, man.
Thursday,
Brilliant.
yep,
All right, dude.
2:30.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Oh, I thought this was broken for some reason.